If you hold Ripple's XRP, this is going to be the most important video that you watch all month long. What I'm going to share with you over the next few minutes will give you an understanding of what's going to happen the next few months as retail starts diving into the markets, and if it makes more sense to hold XRP, Bitcoin, or other altcoins, as XRP has already seen a massive pump after the US election. As Ripple stablecoin goes live, there may be supply shortages in the very early days before the market stabilizes, with people willing to pay up to $1,200 per RLUSD. What will this do to the price of XRP? Well, we have to compare XRP to Bitcoin's market cap dominance now and in the past. We're going to break down exactly what happened during the last market cycle when Bitcoin's market cap dominance dropped and where we are right now relative to the past. A death cross that you need to keep on your radar, otherwise you're going to get absolutely destroyed. We're creating a triple stacker with bacon here, with Bitcoin's market cap dominance, Bitcoin's price, and the crypto total market cap excluding Bitcoin and when the top could be coming in. And then XRP, the Bitcoin price chart, and my expectations in the short term, the midterm, the long term. That is not what you think. And if you stick all the way to the end, I'm going to be sharing with you guys how you can get access to some top altcoin picks before they take off and absolutely explode when Bitcoin's market cap dominance starts to fall off a shelf. You do not want to miss this. So if you're feeling bullish, drop a 777 in the comments below. If you're feeling blessed, drop a 777. And if you're going to become the first millionaire in your family tree, confirm it by tapping the subscribe button. Let's run it. All right, bull runners, welcome back to the channel. So with Bitcoin sitting at $103,000, XRP sitting at $2.42, the rest of the market attempting to make a recovery for a lot of these projects, up 3-4%, nothing too crazy happening. But the craziest thing to look at right here is XRP on the macro Google Trends chart in terms of interest over time. Look at what's projected to happen for December. XRP is going to be 100 out of 100. Now, a lot of people think that this is a bad thing because of, interest spiking up to 100 being the best time to sell in the past. So is it a good time to sell your XRP, or is XRP going to pop and absolutely melt everyone's faces the rest of this bull run cycle? So rather than just talk about opinions and just showing you guys one indicator, we're going to bring up multiple charts. But here's a point of view if you invested $100 3 months ago into XRP versus Bitcoin. That $100 would be worth, $130, $120, $140. It looks like $160. And then when XRP spiked up, to over $200, 270, almost like $500 at the peak, in Bitcoin worth $180. So a lot of people think that Bitcoin is the best thing to buy and hold, and a lot of people think that XRP is the best thing to buy and hold. So right now, at the time of making this video, what is the best to buy and hold? So I'll share that with you in a little bit. And if you're new to the channel, I'll share with you what I've been buying and I've been holding and which one I'm the most bullish on. If you guys have been subscribed to the channel for a while, you already know, but as Ripple's stablecoin goes live, there may be supply shortages in the very early days here soon when they finally get listed. They've gotten the approval from the New York Department of Financial Services for their stablecoin, as Brad Garlinghouse just posted 5 days ago, and he said the exchange and partner listings will be live soon, and you'll hear it from Ripple first. Now, Joel Katz said that there's actually someone willing to pay $1,200 per RLUSD for a tiny fraction of one RLUSD. Tools will show you the highest price anyone is willing to pay, even if it's just a tiny bit. Maybe someone wants the honor of buying the first bit of RLUSD on the DEX, which is stupid if they're going to pay that much, but rest assured the price will come back down very close to $1 as soon as supply stabilizes. If it doesn't, something is very seriously wrong. If you want to spend a lot of money to get a tiny bit of RLUSD before anyone else does, you can, but please don't expect the price to stay over $1 once things stabilize, because it's a stable coin, which he expects to do very, very quickly. The whole point of a stable coin is obviously to have a stable price, and short-term changes in price due to shortages of supply or demand are certainly possible, especially around launch, but they shouldn't remain for very long as arbitrageurs rapidly fix the market. So please do not FOMO into the stablecoin. This is not an opportunity to get rich with RLUSD. This is just going to bring more liquidity to Ripple that will benefit XRP long term. But in the short term, what really affects XRP is Bitcoin's market cap dominance. Because simply put, if more money is flowing into Bitcoin and not altcoins, then Bitcoin is just going to absorb more of the market cap. So if we look back to the past, this will give us an understanding of when is the best time to buy Bitcoin and when is the best time to sell Bitcoin and buy altcoins or stable coins. So look at the left-hand side of the screen right here. When we transition from orange to yellow in terms of Bitcoin stock to flow rainbow indicator, this is just simply how many days until the next halving. So we put this color code up on the chart right here, and it shows us how many days into this yellow phase we are. So we're about 80 days in. Now, if I were to measure what happened in the last cycle, 80 days in, we see some similar chart pattern play out where when we transition right here on the left-hand side of the screen from orange to yellow, we saw a massive drop in Bitcoin's market cap dominance. On the right-hand side of the screen, we saw a sell-off as well too, transitioning from orange to yellow. And then during the whole yellow phase, Bitcoin's dominance rallied all the way up here to about 61% for the peak. On the left-hand side of the screen, Bitcoin's dominance rallied all the way up to 73% for the peak, while the stochastic RSI formed a bearish cross and was in a free fall on the daily chart all the way down below 20 to reset. And so while we were forming higher highs on the price chart up here, we were forming a lower high on the stochastic RSI from the 23rd of December up to the 3rd of January. We were all the way down here at 28 on the stochastic RSI. Now on the right-hand side of the screen, while we were forming higher highs up here, look what happened on the stochastic RSI. We were forming lower highs. So this is a bearish divergence. And a bearish divergence simply means we form higher highs on a price chart and lower highs on an indicator, signaling a shift in momentum from bullish over to bearish. And that's exactly what we saw. And then we saw the dominance drop below the 50 SMA in blue and below the 200 SMA on the right-hand side of the screen. The exact same thing happened on the left-hand side of the screen. And then we saw Bitcoin's dominance, bounce around for a bit. It bounced up from 60% to 65%, came back down to 59%, bounced back up to 64%, and then just chopped around for a while until roughly the end of March. And then in April, on the left-hand side of the screen, you guys can see the dominance just fall off of a shelf one more time. And so this gives us an understanding of what's about to happen next for Bitcoin, because on the right-hand side of the screen, you guys can see that the stochastic RSI is at 95. On the K line, the D line is at 90. We are in overbought territory up here. And if you look on the left-hand side of the screen, after that first initial drop-off in Bitcoin's market cap dominance, when we rallied back above 80 on the stochastic RSI for the K-line and the D-line, was right around here before this death cross took place, when Bitcoin's market cap dominance attempted to come back up and reclaim the 200 SMA and the 50 SMA and could not. It was rejected from it back down to 60%. So what we're doing right now is we are attempting to reclaim on the right-hand side of the screen the 200 SMA, and we're still below the 50 SMA. Now, what this tells me is that Bitcoin's dominance is making one last attempted effort at a recovery, and this is going to be a failed recovery, and either we're going to get rejected right now from the 200 SMA, or we're going to try and push a little bit higher in the short term as Bitcoin breaks out above what it's doing right now. For example, Bitcoin's at $103,000. So if we see Bitcoin make the run for 105, 110, 115, maybe up to $120,000, then I would expect Bitcoin's dominance to rally a little bit further up to the 50 SMA and then get rejected from here back to the downside, and then do something like this and chop for an extended period of time, similar to what happened back here on the left-hand side of the screen. Because as you guys can tell, the 50 SMA on the right-hand side of the screen is starting to turn back around, and the 200 SMA is now acting as resistance. Now, on the left, you guys can see this death cross that took place, and after the death cross, there was one final attempted recovery up to the 200 SMA, a rejection, and then Bitcoin's dominance just went down from there, and that's when alt season started. So in my opinion, we're at a very similar timeline telling me that alt season is right around the corner. It's not fully here yet. And the reason why is because if we look at total twos chart, you can see we're still hovering below the all-time high of November of 2021 in this massive cup and handle formation. And this is also a bull flag, where if I were to draw the length of the flagpole, which is basically from the breakout point in October to the high of March, and I put that to the most recent breakout point that just happened, that brings the target for total two up to roughly $2.5 trillion. So we're at 1.5, that's another $1 trillion to flow into the entire altcoin market as the target for this cup and handle breakout. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to happen right away over the next week or two. It's going to take some time, which is why I'm making this video a little bit longer for you guys to fully understand everything on the charts that I'm going to show you. Because if we see Bitcoin's dominance on the right hand side of the screen push up higher in the short term up to the 50 SMA, then what that would mean is Bitcoin is absorbing more of the market cap of the entire industry, and that could mean a further pullback to the downside for total two as we consolidate here before breaking to the upside for the next major move up. Now, we can see this zone of support that was resistance back here in March. If we see a deeper pullback in the market, that would be roughly a 20-25% correction, which would actually be completely normal if we were to flush out a lot of leverage traders right now, bringing us back down to about $1.25 trillion to $1.3 trillion. It's similar to what we saw happen back here, similar to what we saw happen right here, similar to what we saw happen right here, similar to what we saw happen right here. You guys know that we don't just go straight up forever. We see these pullbacks, and look at the size of these pullbacks last bull market cycle. This one was 25%, and it wicked almost off this high right here at the beginning of September, end of August for orange to act as support before bouncing off of the 50 SMA and continuing the uptrend. So during a bull run, we want the price chart for total two and even Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, like I'm going to talk about XRP in a little bit, to stay above the 50 SMA. We are on the daily candles right here.
Hey bull runners, this is super time sensitive, especially if you're looking to stack more crypto before the bull run is over. Did you know that Visa and Mastercard lost a $5.5 billion class action lawsuit for imposing unfair fees on merchants and business owners? So if you own a business, or if you know any business owners that process payments with Visa or Mastercard between 2004 and 2019, that's 15 years, you could actually be owed a refund of 1 to 1.5% of your total revenue from that period. That's a lot of money. For example, this business that generated 1.6 million in credit card revenue during those years is getting back $28,000. This business that generated over 7 million is getting back $93,000. And this business that generated over $20 million during those years is getting back over $320,000. That's money they didn't even know was on the table. And all they did was fill out a form through the link below this video. It literally takes less than a minute to see if you qualify, but you don't want to wait too long because the deadline to file is February 4th, 2025. So the sooner that you fill out the form below, the sooner that you can reclaim what's rightfully yours. Plus, if you don't have a business, you can actually earn 3% by referring businesses that do qualify by creating your affiliate account through the link below. So this is a no-brainer way to get money back in your pocket to use for your business, or if you want to use it for crypto or other assets to invest in, you can do that. So click the link below. Let's get you paid.
What I would want to see happen if we see a sell-off is for it to be fast, rapid, and sudden, and then recover on out of here quickly to make a move to the upside. What I don't want to see is something like this take place, where we just go through a long, drawn out consolidation phase below the 50 and below the 200. That would give me some warning signs that this market cycle is not going to last as long as everyone thinks. We need to make a quick recovery off of the 50 SMA, and then we need to use the 50 SMA as support as we work our way up into new highs, into price discovery, just like we did last bull run cycle, staying above the 50 moving average. And just like the previous cycle, we stayed above the 50 the majority of the bull run. We dipped below it a little bit right here, but then we reclaimed it, used it as support during this phase right here, even though we went a little bit below it. The 50 stayed above the 200, and we never passed below the 200 moving average until we transitioned from light green to blue up here when the bull run was over. So I want to see the price stay above the 50 SMA the majority of the bull run. I want to see the 50 stay above the 200, and I want to see the price stay well above the 200 SMA until the bear market kicks in. And then once we transition from yellow to green on the Bitcoin stock to flow rainbow indicator, that's going to tell me that the top is coming for the market, because as you can see, the price passed below the 50, even dipped briefly below the 200, made a recovery up here, and then the market was pretty much over from there. We dropped below the 200 and it acted as resistance going into the bear market bottom, just like it did last bull run cycle. You see how we dipped below it right here? It tried to reclaim it. It went above both of them for a little period of time. This is the biggest fake out that you do not want to get caught in, because this is the complacency stage where a lot of new investors start buying into this rally, thinking that we're going to make a recovery and the price chart is just going to keep doing this for a new high. This is what catches people. This is a bull trap where bulls think that the market's going to recover and then it just trades down from there. And you can see this happens during the light blue phase of the market cycle. So I would expect the market cycle this time around to play out the same way. We're going to stay above the 50 SMA the majority of the bull run. We're above it right now. The 50 actually did just cross back above the 200. So this is a golden cross for the altcoin market, which is a great sign. And so I want to see the price stay above the 50 stay above the 200. And until the 50 SMA and the 200 SMA breaks support, like we saw happen back here and we saw happen right here, transitioning from yellow to green, then I'm not too worried about a sharp 20 or 25% pullback in the short term if we respect that 50 moving average before continuing higher. And another great sign that we're heading into altcoin season for the majority of the gains still yet to be made on the table is Bitcoin's dominance is still above 57% as it makes a recovery up here and then falls back down, consolidates for a bit. Eventually, I would just expect Bitcoin's dominance to drop off of a shelf, similar to what happened back here after March of 2021 when the dominance dropped from 60%. It broke below this zone of support right here of roughly 60%. And when it dropped that was the best time to go all in with altcoins. So that support for Bitcoin would be down here at like 54, 55%. So I would expect this zone to act as support as Bitcoin breaches above 110, 120, and eventually $150,000 if it makes it above that level. Now, that doesn't mean that altcoins won't run. It just means that Bitcoin will continue to do well while altcoins make higher highs and higher lows and just lag behind Bitcoin a little bit. As you can see, we're still lagging behind the all-time high. Now on the left-hand side of the screen, you can see we formed a death cross when the 50 SMA crossed below the 200 on the 4th of March. On the right-hand side of the screen, the 50 SMA is still above the 200 SMA, but it's turning around right now. As you can see, after about 80 days in to the yellow phase of the Bitcoin stock to flow rainbow indicator, we consolidated sideways. So we're 80 days in to this yellow phase right here. So I would just expect Bitcoin to maybe push a little bit higher up to the 50 and then sell off as altcoins make the next major push up after this correction is done. And the reason why I say that is because we're seeing some confluence right here on some major key indicators like the MACD as well too. For example, I'm just going to circle these points for you guys to look at. We saw a bullish cross take place right here, the beginning of February. It turned back around below the signal line in orange, and then another bullish cross took place, and we started to trend upwards while Bitcoin's dominance was struggling to reclaim the 50 SMA and the 200 SMA while that death cross was taking place. And then we saw it roll back around here as we got closer to zero when Bitcoin fell off of a shelf. Now on the right hand side of the screen, we're seeing the exact same thing play out with this first initial drop in Bitcoin's market cap dominance. Just like on the left hand side of the screen, this first initial drop down below the 50 and below the 200, we saw the MACD, moving average convergence divergence, drop all the way below the zero line, and then we just saw a bullish cross take place. Now, I would expect with Bitcoin's dominance trying to make a recovery as Bitcoin rallies and then rolling around, I would expect the MACD to do the same thing, to attempt to make a recovery just like it did on the left-hand side of the screen, and then another bearish cross to happen below the zero line for us to continue the downtrend when Bitcoin's dominance falls off of the shelf. Now, whether that happens January, February, March for Bitcoin, I think Bitcoin is still going to do well going into Inauguration Day and even post-Inauguration Day because Bitcoin's only at $103,000. You really think after all of that effort, all of those ETF buy-ups by BlackRock, Van Eck, Grayscale, all those institutional companies diving in the markets, they're just going to stop and give up with Bitcoin at $103,000? I don't think so. I think Bitcoin still has much further to go. And I'm going to show you what happened on the charts after February to March when Bitcoin was consolidating above 60% dominance, and how much longer we really have in this bull market cycle on top of this yellow phase in the Bitcoin stock to flow rainbow indicator. Now, also, if we bring up the relative strength index, you can see what happened now compared to the past when we topped out for the RSI right here, upwards of 85. And then by the time we were at the all-time high for Bitcoin's dominance, we were putting in a lower high at 75, bearish divergence. So this was signaling that the momentum had shifted from bullish to bearish, and we were in a full-fledged downtrend from there. And then we got rejected on this attempted recovery during this death cross right here. By the 5th of March, the RSI got rejected a little bit above 50 from 58, and then just continued the downtrend well below 20 into oversold territory for Bitcoin, because the majority of liquidity was flowing out of Bitcoin, dropping below 60%, and into altcoins. Now, look on the right-hand side of the screen. What happened here? Bitcoin's dominance was all the way up at 60%. The RSI peaked out at 76. Well, then Bitcoin's dominance jumped up to 61%, and the RSI formed a lower high at like 59, 60%. So this was another bearish divergence. So what I would expect to happen is just the exact same thing that played out in the past. The RSI is at 48. If Bitcoin continues to rally up above $105,000, $110,000 to $120,000, that would look like Bitcoin's dominance absorbing more liquidity and rallying up potentially back to 58% up to the 50 SMA. And then the RSI, what that would look like on the bottom of the screen is the RSI making an attempted recovery. And eventually, just like we saw happen on the left-hand side of the screen, is a rejection for a lower high right here, and then a continuation of the downtrend. Now, the best time to buy something is when it's oversold. The best time to sell something is when it's overbought. So, for example, when Bitcoin's dominance was upwards of 60%, that was the best time to start rotating your profits from Bitcoin into other altcoins. And if you would have done that into XRP, you would have caught a 5x. So during the early stage of the bull run, it makes the most sense to hold some Bitcoin. And then when Bitcoin's dominance tops out, it makes the most sense to rotate from Bitcoin to altcoins. Now, when Bitcoin's dominance all the way down here, then that makes sense to rotate back into Bitcoin. So if you guys want to know when we're rotating between altcoins or Bitcoin or what we're doing with our portfolio, then join Altcoin Pro University. We just passed 1,000 members. I literally think before recording this video, we just hit exactly 1,000 members. So when you click the link in the description below, you can get started right now. The bonuses are still available for the first 1,000 annual members, because a lot of those 1,000 that have gotten started have joined on the monthly. So the bonuses are still available if you guys do want to pull the trigger before January 1st. Price is going to go up though, from $97 a month to $197 a month, where you can pay as you go, no contract, no commitment. You just don't get the bonuses. So if you want to lock in right now and get grandfathered in at these prices before January 1st, annual is going to go to $1,970 per year. So right now you can save $194 and unlock these 2 exclusive bonuses on top of 100 plus expert curated classes, live weekly calls, daily market updates, and get access to our global community to get your questions answered, where you can post in the community section and network with each other. We got people from all walks of life all around the world inside of Altcoin Pro University. So I know you guys are going to love it. And I'll share more of that with you at the end of this video and exactly what you're going to get. But what I want to dive into is a little more details on what a death cross is. And then we're going to get into the XRP price chart and some more stuff to give you guys some confluence on why I believe we're about ready to go into full-fledged alt season here soon when Bitcoin's dominance drops, because a death cross is a market chart pattern reflecting recent price weakness. It refers to the drop of a short-term moving average, like the 50 moving average on a chart. This could work for stocks, commodities, cryptocurrencies over a set period of time. So we were on the daily chart. And this is when a shorter time frame moving average crosses below a longer time frame moving average. So you can see that right here on the left-hand side of the screen, where the 50 SMA in blue crossed below the 200 SMA in red, which are the most closely watched moving averages to use. And despite the dramatic name, some key takeaways is that a death cross has been followed by average short-term returns and low recoveries in the market. And that is synergistic with Bitcoin rallying up above $103,000 and potentially going back into price discovery while altcoins cool off for a little bit. And on the contrary, a rise of the 50-day above the 200 is known as a golden cross and can signal the exhaustion of downward market momentum. So while we saw a death cross on Bitcoin's dominance chart in the past on March 5th, signaling that Bitcoin's rally was pretty much over, in the short term though, there was that little recovery for Bitcoin after the cross of about 5% back above 60%. Inevitably getting rejected from the 200 SMA and then trading to the downside. So I still think we're a few months off for that, and Bitcoin is just going to continuously make higher highs and higher lows, well above 120,000, going to $150,000. Now, being that a death cross is a bearish signal, often after a death cross occurs, a downward trend is likely to continue where the asset's price will further decline. It can also signal a reversal where an end of an upward trend too, where the price will start to decline or remain fairly flat. So after that death cross took place in March of 2021, you guys can see Bitcoin attempt to make a recovery immediately after the death cross. And during that phase, Bitcoin went from roughly $47,000 upwards of $63,000 post death cross. So immediately there could be a recovery if we see a death cross happen here in the near future for Bitcoin, and Bitcoin can continuously make higher highs and higher lows. And I think that's what's going to happen while altcoins just slowly lag behind Bitcoin. But where the real altcoin bull run happens is after the dominance starts falling off of a shelf. Because you can see right here on the bottom of the screen, the altcoin market cap dominance, or just the altcoin market cap compared to Bitcoin, didn't really start to run until like $500 billion. Then Bitcoin's dominance dropped below 60%. And then it rallied all the way up here to $1.5 trillion. So that's when the altcoins made the majority of the move well above the all-time high. And as you can see here, if I just zoom out on the bottom of the screen, you could see where the altcoin market was when it was consolidating below the all-time high, making higher lows and higher highs before breaking out post death cross. So before the death cross took place, we saw a little pullback in the altcoin market. It rallied up to 700 billion, and we saw this 29, almost 30% pullback. So could we see a much steeper pullback in the market before a death cross happens? Absolutely, as Bitcoin attempts to make its move above $110,000. That could cause the altcoin market to go through something similar to what we saw happen right here, where it takes a little bit of time for altcoins to finally break out and really pass the all-time high and go into price discovery, like what happened last bull run cycle when Bitcoin is topping out. You guys can see the middle of the screen right here, around $64,000. This was roughly around the 14th of April. Look at where the altcoin market was. It was all the way down here at $1.1 trillion. Now, altcoins do move with Bitcoin because look at that first sell-off below the 50. Altcoins did sell off down here. And then when Bitcoin made a lower high on the price chart right here in the middle of the screen, the altcoins made a higher high as liquidity was flowing out of Bitcoin and into altcoins, while Bitcoin's dominance dropped from 55% while the altcoins were breaking out all the way down here to about 42%. And how long of a period was that? And how much time did you have to prepare while that money was flowing from Bitcoin into the top 10 and then mid cap and micro cap projects? Well, if we just measure from the 14th of April to when the altcoin market topped out, that was 29 days. So you had 1 month. The majority of gains in altcoins are going to be made roughly around the last month as Bitcoin's dominance falls off a shelf. And during that period, there's going to be some rocky 20-30% pullbacks along the way up alongside Bitcoin. So what does this mean for XRP? Well, if we bring up the XRP to the Bitcoin price chart and we compare that to Bitcoin's dominance, if you look on the left-hand side of the screen, we're seeing a macro zoomed out version of what I was just showing you when Bitcoin's dominance dropped from 70% to 60% and then hovered around 60% until after the death cross took place. And then on the bottom of the screen, if I put an arrow right here, you can see what I was talking about when the dominance fell off of a shelf. Look at what happened to the XRP to the Bitcoin price chart during that period. Well, from the first initial sell-off of Bitcoin's dominance dropping from 70 to 60%, XRP outperformed Bitcoin in the short term right here and rallied up into this zone of resistance, which was support during the orange phase before we transitioned from orange to yellow. And then it got rejected for a double bottom While Bitcoin just consolidated above 60%, attempting to reclaim the 200, the 50, chopping around roughly 60 to 64% in dominance, XRP cooled off and underperformed Bitcoin. So it saw a pullback for a double bottom. And it wasn't until March when Bitcoin's dominance finally peaked out right at the 50. If I just draw an arrow at the bottom of the screen right here, you guys can see right at the 50 and right at the 200 after the death cross, that's when XRP started to make its move and drastically outperformed Bitcoin to the upside and peaking out before transitioning from yellow to light green. Now on the right hand side of the screen, what are we seeing happen right now? It's very, very similar. We haven't seen a death cross yet where the 50, SMA crosses below the 200 because the 50 is still above the 200 right now. But what we have seen is we have seen this first initial rally up for XRP to this descending resistance that we've been rejected from multiple times in the past, right here in the middle of July of 2023, and also right here at the peak of that rally where XRP outperformed Bitcoin in May of 2021. And then also back here where we wicked at before we transitioned from orange to yellow. So this is acting as resistance right now. Now, in my opinion, we're very similar to where we were when we rallied up into this red box right here on the left-hand side of the screen as resistance for XRP. And we're gonna see a pullback on the XRP, the Bitcoin price chart. Now, it doesn't mean that XRP does terrible. It just means Bitcoin is most likely going to outperform XRP as Bitcoin stays above 60% in dominance for an extended period of time until we fall off a shelf and Bitcoin's dominance drops on the bottom part of the screen. And what that would look like for XRP to Bitcoin's price chart is XRP to experience a pullback. We could pull back within this zone as support, this red box right here at the top of the screen that you guys can see, because this was a massive zone of demand ever since 2020. So for 4 years, this would act as a really strong zone of demand to get bought up before XRP experiences the next major move to the upside. And when that move happens, that will be when Bitcoin's dominance drops and falls below 50% and starts going down closer to 40 or 45%. That will be the next major move up for XRP, in my opinion, because that's how it's played out in the past every single time. Even if we go back to the cycle before the last one, we see what happened with XRP. We saw the same thing happen. We saw XRP to Bitcoin's price chart outperform Bitcoin in the short term, and then XRP peaked out right here on the top of the screen, if I just circle it for you guys. And then we saw a steep pullback of over 60% compared to Bitcoin. And this gave Bitcoin's dominance enough time to make a recovery, because during that first initial rally right here, Bitcoin's dominance was at like 96%. It dropped all the way down to 81% by the 3rd of April when XRP was peaking out compared to Bitcoin. And then look at Bitcoin's dominance. It made a recovery from 80% all the way back up to 90%, rallying 10% back to the 50 SMA, getting rejected from the 50 SMA, and then continuing the downtrend all the way down here by May. And that's when XRP made the next move to the upside to form the all-time high right there. And then during that sell-off from yellow to light green, that was where XRP consolidated for like 3 months or more, while Bitcoin recovered from all the way down here back to 79% during this phase, and then inevitably fell off of a shelf during the last phase of the altcoin bull run when XRP started peaking out at like $3 beyond there. So we're going to see periods where XRP outperforms Bitcoin, then underperforms Bitcoin, then outperforms Bitcoin, then underperforms Bitcoin. And in order to time these properly, you have to understand supply and demand. So we just rallied into a zone of supply. And so this is telling me that now it's time for Bitcoin to start outperforming XRP as XRP pulls back on the Bitcoin price chart, giving Bitcoin a little bit of time to recover and rally beyond $103,000. So in my opinion, Bitcoin's gonna make a move soon, but XRP is really gonna pop and go absolutely ballistic when Bitcoin's dominance drops below 50%. And when that happens, expect total 2 to absolutely explode well above the all-time high and go into price discovery. So while Bitcoin steals the limelight, I would expect altcoins to maybe pull back or go sideways in the short term. Otherwise, if we see altcoins break out with Bitcoin to the upside, I would just expect a steeper pullback of 20 to 30% at some point here soon, because this is nothing. This is just a little appetizer of a pullback here. This is 17%. You haven't seen nothing yet until we're seeing 20 to 50% pullbacks on the way up. So don't get lost in the sauce of what could happen in the short term. Take the macro view with me here. That's going to help you make the most amount of money because, for example, I accumulated most of my altcoins all the way down at this level right here, this level all the way down here, and then these levels right here at the disbelief rally. So any sort of dip is an opportunity. Like for me to accumulate more XRP right now, I would want to see a death cross be taking place on Bitcoin's market cap chart. So if we stack up all four charts together, on the upper left, you can see XRP, the US dollar, the bottom left, Bitcoin's market cap dominance, last bull run cycle. And then on the right, we can see XRP, the US dollar, this bull run cycle, and then Bitcoin's market cap dominance, this bull run cycle, to compare the two together so you can look for confluence here. What happened when Bitcoin's market cap dominance broke down to 60% and then held it as support? Well, during that first initial breakdown right here, we saw XRP break out of that post lawsuit news low and rally upwards of 54%, cooled off for a little bit while Bitcoin attempted a recovery back to the 200 and bobbled around for a bit. So that's where we saw some consolidation, similar to what we're seeing right now. You know, XRP rallied up after years of suppression. Gary Gensler announcing he's going to be stepping down. Bitcoin's dominance dropping on the bottom right-hand side of the screen, XRP rallying up, similar to what happened on the left-hand side of the screen. And now we're seeing this consolidation phase take place, just like we saw happen for XRP. So whether we have another leg up to push XRP to the all-time high or past the all-time high, then I would expect there to be a longer consolidation period for XRP as Bitcoin goes through this choppy washing machine, sideways trading action, attempting to hold on for dear life, the 50 SMA turning around, the 200 SMA turning to the upside, and an inevitable death cross taking place, just like we saw happen right here, death cross taking place, while XRP was consolidating above the 50 SMA and above the 200. Right now, XRP is still above the 50. So at some point, I would expect the 50 to make contact with the XRP to the US dollar price chart and then bounce off of it, trade to the upside, and then start going upwards of $4 to $5, potentially even higher than that this bull run cycle. So if we see a steeper pullback for XRP quicker back down to the 50 SMA, then I would just accumulate more XRP because I think it's going to play out almost identical to the past. Because look in the bottom right-hand side of the screen, Bitcoin's market cap dominance, we're just going to consolidate here for a period of time. And when this drops down below 50%, that's when XRP starts to make the move, just like we saw happen in the past. I'm going to mark this up on the chart with arrows, and you guys are going to look on the left-hand side of the screen, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Right here at the tail end of March, Bitcoin's dominance was at 60%, and then it fell off of a shelf. Where was XRP at that exact same moment? XRP was at 55 cents right here, making higher lows and higher highs. And then inevitably, right when Bitcoin's dominance dropped and it was at 56%, that's when XRP made the move from 64 cents all the way up here to $1.98. And this happened rapidly. Look in the upper left-hand corner of the screen right here, and look how big of a rally that was and how fast it took place right here from the 4th of April. And then look at the vertical white line in the bottom of the screen where Bitcoin's dominance was. It dropped off a shelf and XRP rallied over 240%, another 3x to the upside in 10 days. This is going to happen very, very quick. And all you can do is hold on for dear life because nobody knows exactly when this is going to take place. But what we can look at is what needed to happen in order for that to take place. And that was Bitcoin's dominance falling off of a shelf and breaking below the support that it held for about 50 to 60 days. So for about 2 months, Bitcoin held that support. So right now, the support for Bitcoin in the bottom right-hand side of the screen is about 54%. So if we were to just measure, let's say 60 days from right there, where would that put us on Bitcoin's dominance chart? That would put us at about the 1st of February. So right after Inauguration Day. So my expectations going into Inauguration Day with RLUSD launching is a potential another push up for XRP, maybe between $3 and $4 to the high, and then inevitably a sell-off and a consolidation, similar to what we saw happen right here in the upper left-hand side of the screen after that first initial rally up for XRP as Bitcoin's dominance was dropping, another little push up to 66 cents, and then consolidation until the dominance dropped. So if I were to trace that up on the chart and use the bars pattern right here and just copy that and put that in the upper right hand side of the screen, it could look either something like this with XRP rallying up in the short term with RLUSD, or something like this, where we just see a little push up followed by consolidation, and then inevitably XRP finally breaking out really, really fast between $2 to $10 for the peak, maybe a little higher. We don't know how high XRP is gonna go, but don't be shocked if this consolidation takes a little more time, because Bitcoin's dominance just made that first initial bounce and it's attempting to reclaim the 200 and the 50. Similar to what happened here in the bottom left-hand side of the screen for about 10 days, and then inevitably took another like 40 to 50 days after that. So we still got some time. We still got a few months of Bitcoin doing well. XRP maybe making another little peak up towards the end of the year, going into inauguration of like $3 to $4, and then a sell-off and potentially a back test of $2, consolidate sideways for a while, and then XRP to make the majority of its gains when Bitcoin's dominance drops. So until that happens, there's plenty of opportunities to make money with other altcoins. As you guys can see, HBAR up 300%. I was telling you guys the smartest move was to accumulate HBAR around 5 to 6 cents, and it did a 6 to 7x after that. So it outperformed XRP. Now, not financial advice. I'm not going to tell you specifically to buy or sell anything, because these videos are for education, informational purposes only. Crypto's risky. You can definitely lose money in these markets. So it's not financial advice, but if you look at all these other projects right here that are doing very, very well, our research team has been sharing these projects with you guys inside of Altcoin Pro University underneath the community section right here. Underneath where it says announcements, general discussions, market updates, DeFi yield picks, airdrop picks, crypto news, community picks, Q&A, you can see altcoin picks. For example, our research team posted GOAT on the 13th of October of 2024 when it was right at a penny, and since then it rallied to over $1 and is currently still up over 5,000%. That's like turning $1,000 into over $50,000. Our team called Pendle at only a $16 million market cap, or 16 cents, back on February 18th of 2023, all the way back here, and since then it's rallied up over 4,000%. That's a 40x. It's like turning $1,000 into over $40,000. Our team also called BitTensor Tau September 15th, 2022, before the token was ever even launched. And since then, Tau has rallied over 2,000%. That's a 20x. Our team even said Solana is most likely to be one of the easiest trades next year, and this was posted December 29th, 2022, on the day that Solana bottomed out at around $8. And since then, Solana looks like it's up over 2,500%. That's a 25x. It's like turning $1,000 into over $25,000. And the bull run is just getting started. The list goes on and on and on. Our team called Sui, Ondo, and even some of the biggest cult-based meme coins like MOG back in July 20th of 2023, the day that MOG launched. So if you want to learn how our team is finding these altcoins before they explode, we just launched Altcoin Pro University, where our research team gives you real-time altcoin picks with explosive potential for this bull run, along with 100+ expert curated classes crafted by industry experts to discover these gems yourself, on top of our live weekly calls every single week for in-depth crypto market analysis and daily updates. And that's just a fraction of what we offer inside of Altcoin Pro University through the link below. And although we make no guarantees because crypto is definitely risky, guys, this is only $97 a month or $970 a year. If you want to save $194, getting 2 months for free and unlock some exclusive bonuses, just go through the link in the description below, get in right now, watch the 26-minute video covering everything that Altcoin Pro University offers to help you become the first millionaire in your family tree. If that's a goal of yours, our goal is to help 1,000 members set their portfolio up for life this month. And you can get started through the link in the description below right now, or you can go to bullrunners.com to take advantage of the bonuses we're giving you before they expire. Everyone is loving the community. They're loving the education. They're getting access to real-time altcoin picks first before we ever make videos about them. So click the link in the description below, watch the video, and I'll see you on the inside.